Now, the residents of Bosmont along the N1 highway in Maritzburg of Rembin, Johannesburg are living in fear. The local community policing patrol forum says shootings around the abandoned mines are an everyday occurrence. Let's speak now to the chairperson of the Bosmont Community Patrol, and he is Farid Domingo joining us tonight. Farid, good evening and thank you very much for your time and for joining us tonight here on In Focus. As the sun has set, it is now dark, and there's been this discovery that was made earlier this morning. What's the feeling on the ground as far as the community is concerned?
There's a lot of fear, a lot of uneasiness. For the first time in probably 6 or 7 weeks, we haven't heard any gunshots yet this evening, which is really something different. There is that level of fear where people don't know exactly what's going on.
How did you come to make the discovery of the bodies?
We got a call from Bosmont Community Patrol has got a wing called the Bosmont Community Green Project. And one of the patrollers of that unit actually saw the body early in the morning and alerted me just after 6:30 a.m. this morning.
And what is the context, as far as you know, of the shooting in the area that took place last night and maybe in the early parts of this morning?
Look, the whole commotion, this particular commotion, started just after, I would say, just after 8 o'clock last night. There was a lot of shooting going on. At least 100 rounds were fired. And there was people running all over within the suburb, not just on the Sloot area. It was actually down one of the streets as well. And this commotion went on for quite a while. In addition to the 6 deaths, there was another death last night, which will be linked afterwards. But as somebody was running over the highway and they got knocked by a car, and this car actually carried them right up to the Gordon Road off-ramp, which is probably about 2.5 kilometers away, and that person was deceased as well. So the situation becomes tense, it becomes mad, and what is sad is that you actually get used to the amount of shots that happens on a daily basis. We do notify our South African Police Service, but unfortunately, when they arrive, nothing happens. And even if they do arrive, they arrive with 2 officers with 1 vehicle, and this is absolutely no match for the arms and ammunition and the force that illegal miners have got.
Yeah. Now, Farid, I read a little bit of your bio, and you're saying you arrived in Bosmont in what, 1968? And you remember back in the 70s or so when you used to be able to walk around quite freely around this particular area, go to the pool and go anywhere really in that community. What has changed to the point where you are now saying there is generally a high presence of illegal miners and there is a constant problem of miners or rival groups shooting at each other, something that you're saying has been going on now for over 12 months and escalated in the recent weeks?
Look, it's sad. You know, these very mine, at that time, there wasn't the flattened mine areas. There were actual mine dumps. And as a child, we used to go and run and play on these mine dumps. And what's sad, you can't even go near there now because even just the mere sighting of somebody observing could put you in the line of fire. And so that's one point. But the other point is because we are linked behind the graveyard and the Sloot is on the one side with, along with the Flay. And then a lot of the illegal mining is going on over the road, over the N1 highway that's on the back of Maritzburg. So even walking there or even traveling there can put you in harm's way within seconds. So it does become a fear. And when they shoot in the area, that becomes so much worse because now it's right in front of your home.
You're patrolling the area. You're saying there could be as many as 30 shafts that could be possibly being used as a way of entering the underground. But there's one particular that the police were looking at today. Is there a challenge in dealing with these shafts? And do you think there's something that can be done?
Look, failing a huge change, a huge we need to facilitate a huge movement, perhaps get the army in, and along with a lot of strong police to actually go over this area and actually do patrols and go in there initially to get it under control and then do regular patrols of the area, which could possibly reduce the shooting, etc. But I doubt whether it would eliminate it, lest we have armed guards and 24/7, which is highly unlikely that this would happen within our area here.
Yeah. Two things that you point out. One is the question of visibility. You're saying even when you go to the South African Police Service, there are some visibility challenges. What brings about those visibility challenges?
You know, to be on the mine, it's hard for them to actually patrol the mining area. And like I say, unless they actually have perhaps a tank or an all-terrain vehicle to be in there. So patrolling for us, we can patrol and we can keep our area relatively safe. You know, we have patrol cars and we do patrols every day, 365 days a year in the dark hours of the day. So it is very hard, and it would be hard because, and again, police coming is not going to help. You know, one vehicle or two vehicles or 5 vehicles now and then is not going to alter the thing, because there's a lot of overgrowth and there's a lot of trees where people can hide in. And, of course, they can hide in the shafts as well, which we've seen a bit of it today. One of the shafts further down the road, there was actually people coming out of that shaft as the police were arriving to the scene this morning.
And as a community with the municipality there, have you raised the issue of this overgrowth?
We are in contact with JRA. In fact, the one person that did discover the bodies is with JRA. So we've spoken to JRA to assist us with this. And unfortunately, you know, the overgrowth there is Bosmont is basically on the flay, and there's a lot of trees and a lot of greenery there. So it would be very difficult. We would actually have to destroy a mini forest to actually get rid of all the trees, etc.
Now, you're saying the community there, I mean, even as we speak, living in absolute terror and absolute fear. How is this the norm that you're saying, you know, for the first time in weeks, you've not heard gunshots today, which for you, you're saying it's a little bit strange. How is this allowed to be the norm?
What other choices are there? You know, and let me give you an example. We have different patrols, which is not part of us, but we all work together. But you have the Maritzburg, Florida Patrol. They have an issue and they start going in and perhaps Florida dispatches a vehicle. They cannot go in with a vehicle because, you know, it's basically like a little forest where you're going to have to go into the thing. So it's very, very difficult. And even if you went in there with a vehicle, you become a target. Because these people have automatic weapons. They have, you know, I've seen on occasion where, you know, with the armory that's there, it's unbelievable that a non-government organization could have this arsenal of ammunition and arms.
And you're saying, and yeah, I was coming to that, the question of firepower. You're saying yourself as the Bosmont Community Patrol, you won't be able to deal with this issue in terms of taking them on firepower to firepower. They're well organized, they're well arranged. But you're saying even the police would not be able to survive that kind of firepower.
Look, the police, if we get a better unit in, certainly that can happen. But the police, as it's the status quo now, we would just be in a position to lose a whole lot of police officers unnecessarily. We need a strong force. We need a force that, you know, perhaps something like a SWAT team comes in. And I believe that the only real way out of this issue from here right till Krugersdorp is to bring in the army.
Now, considering, of course, the events of last night, the shooting that took place there, what should happen next?
Well, I believe that there's got to be, I have my doubts that any of the perpetrators would be brought to book because you must remember that a lot of these people lost their lives probably by 8 o'clock last night or 9 o'clock last night. So a lot of the evidence is not what it should be. So the likelihood of actually finding the perpetrators is minimal. However, what has got to happen, the only way we're going to stop it, and which I've stated earlier, we need to bring in a strong force. We need to bring in a formidable army, like I said. We need to have strong strategies in place, along with the South African National Defence Force and South African Police, working in conjunction with us. And, in fact, Metro should be involved as well, because a lot of this is right on the November 1 on the N1 highway.
Farid, appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on. Chairperson of the Bosmont Community Patrol there. That's Farid Domingo. He, of course, made that discovery earlier on the N1. That's where those 6 bodies were discovered. He says there could have been also another one that happened the night before.